Hey fellas. Well, I knew it would only be a matter of time before I addressed this movie. Been into this one for a long time. When Yu-Gi-Oh! The movie released in August 2004, it was quickly got as one of the worst movies of all time, and it being a dud at the box office as well. Quickly petered out to home video and DVD. Even when I was 12, I did not enjoy the movie's prospects, so let's open up Yu-Gi-Oh! The movie. Before I get into the meat of things, apparently this is the first and only film 4K has had in dubbing that was released PG and MPAA in theaters. Opposed to Pokemon movies they dubbed, this was very PG for scary comic monster images. Still, I would suggest that scary was probably a marketing term for the comic given how many horror films I'd seen by that time frame. Monster images it has. Let that be an indicator of how this isn't a good movie, but rather than a lot of material in just under 90 minutes. Want proof? The very first scene is a retelling of the backstory of the series, ending on the line, even eternity doesn't last forever. How do you direct someone to deliver that without cracking up? I can barely read that without trying to hold back my laughter. As I mentioned before, I've written glorified fanfiction when I was 12 that at least I meant as hokey in hindsight. As Yuki solves Millennium Puzzle, apparently a bunch of archaeologists uncover Nuba's remains and get killed. So I'm making invested in a bunch of archaeologists I don't really know about. As Dixite caves in on the archaeologists, suddenly monsters appear in Yuki's bedroom. The first one to attack is Kuribo. Please. That little thing is basically a meat shield and alias for a sociopath from England. Now, Blackluster Soldier, that would be a cause of concern. At that moment, the spirit of Pharaoh awakens from the puzzle and Yuki defeats the monster with relative ease. Like I said, corniest of fanfiction I've ever when I was 12. Roughly 6 minutes in, we get the title, and this I can admit looks decent. Still, it's going to get crazy from here, folks. Apparently, it's only been 3 years since Yugi became the new Duel Monsters champion, thanks to narration from my good friend Mike Pollock. Also, a bunch of other duelists, including side characters, want to beat Yugi for no adequately explored reasons. Shame, really. The show itself had some justification of card games and conflict resolution and the duelists. We then cut to a rematch between Yugi and Kaiba, and I find Kaiba's dismissal of Yugi as a pompous win-back odd given how often he helped him in Battle City, which takes place after, as well as his own ego and obsession with dragons. Still, he's more noble than the manga. Fed up with the scientist's failures, Kaiba once again decides to take matters into his own hands and find another way of beating the god cards. I do kind of find it funny while Eric Stewart's performance while he's in a TV show, he seems to be reading all of Seto's lines like a prima donna celebrity here. At about 10 minutes in, we cut to the castle of Maximilian Pegasus and Mrs. Nightmare. Probably the same one that Khan had when his company went bankrupt. The next day, Solomoto is reading the newspaper and sees an article about the artifacts they were able to uncover from the archaeologists who died in the intro. The photograph of them is also credited to Norman Grossfeld. Really? Also, this overhead shot that ties some perspective issues and looks a lot smaller than it should. A bit off moral for the movie that has surprisingly larger budget in the show, but looks dodgy than it does in animation-wise and points. Then, get a load of this. Kaiba apparently has a blue-eyed white dragon jet in his arsenal. This is a more flagrant case of conspicuous consumption of company money than Bruce Wayne and Tony Stark put together. Seto, Kanye West calling things for egos making him uncomfortable. He then flies off to his image song, You're Not Me. This whole sequence is when they scream 2000, which was double teaming with a Magnum in one hand and a Needler in the other. Kaiba arrives at Pegasus Island, and after asking for a card that can beat the Egyptian gods, we cut to the school where Yuki and his friends are about to go to the exhibit at the museum. However, duelists from earlier want to fight Yuki. Geez, guys, can it wait? Haven't seen someone get this much heat outside a wrestling ring. While Yugi and Taya tries to pull away, Joey and Tristan try to distract the stragglers. This can only end well. As Yugi and Taya head to the museum, Joey and Tristan try to tag team two of the duelists. Of course. Always a logical solution. Despite the fact that cards mean interactive holographs, the monster Joey's opponent summons is someone able to inject a syringe, which works in an edit like in the anime proper, in Joey's rear. I can't even touch this scene. If you watched this movie and saw this, what would you say? However, More than hands-on spot, Yugi and Taya don't even finish the duel, even trampling Joey and Tristan as I try to follow them. Boy, hope the PlayStation 5 launches in this much of a madhouse. As Yugi and Taya head back to the museum, somehow looting the stalkers, we cut back to Pegasus Castle as he and Kaiba are about to duel for the card that can beat Egyptian gods, with Kaiba as taking all three of his Blue Eyes White Dragons if he loses. Pegasus leads, and tells Kaiba he's about to enter a world of pain. Adequately describing this movie, also my favorite Walter Sobchak lines as well. This is Duel Monsters, there are rules. It seems Pegasus has pulled Toon Wolf on his first draw. That was a lot better on the actual show. I just feel that rewatching the anime at the time on Netflix was more entertaining, but I've been meaning to taste down for a while, so let's go. As the duel continues, I must point out that it seems these cards are not only unaltered, but even lethally translated. Just something I thought I'd point out, it's only a quarter way in, and I want to keep from reaching total ennui for now. Pegasus remarks that cartoons are so violent these days. That's actually kind of funny. I just imagine Eric Stewart having him do 50 takes at in the recording studio. So I present Toon Gemini Elves, Pegasus summons Blue Eyes Toon Dragon. What am I doing in my life that I just read that sentence? Pegasus then follows up with Toon Summon Skull. Only 24 minutes in, this movie's already feeling like an overlong episode than anything else. In a series of plays, Kai was able to summon XYZ Dragon Cannon. Kai was then able to destroy Toon World at once with stroking cards he needs. Well, that was convenient. Back at the museum, Yugi and Taya meet with Yugi's grandfather and take a look at some of the items on display to Tomb of Anubis and Pyramid Light. We're barely a third of the way through this thing, aren't we? Then all of a sudden, Anubis remains disappear. This mostly dull Yu-Gi-Oh movie suddenly turns into episode of Scooby-Doo at the half-hour mark. Oh dear, what have I gotten myself into? Mokuba arrives at the museum and says his brother's looking for Yugi. Much like Seto, Mokuba's more malicious traits from the manga were removed from the anime, so I've been able to keep my mind limber. Watch this movie do what it can survive. Yugi is then taken by a limousine to see Kaiba, with his friends falling behind. All things considered, this movie's been at least serviceable so far, but trust me when I say that things really go downhill next 2 acts. After confirming the spectral essence of the Pharaoh, Yugi appears to face off against Kaiba again. Kaiba unseals all the exits in the arena. Is this really necessary? Yugi doesn't seem like the kind of person that back away from a challenge. Even when Yugi tries to convince him not to go through his vague plan, Kaiba refuses and continues with showboating. It's amazing how little the abridged movie had to change about this to make it funnier, though I'm still keeping little Kuribo to spin on them best I can. Seriously, Kaiba's so eager to reclaim his title he says that Yugi will be exposed to the world as a fraud. After a couple turns, Yugi will summon Slife with the Sky Dragon. Kaiba uses the obligatory summon to force Obelisk Torment and the Rain Dragon of Ra to be summoned as well, so he can be the first to take them down to use Imperial Light Trap card. Yet, Yugi seems surprised Imperial Light as a card as well as an artifact. Maybe crazy, I'm not crazy enough to make this stuff up. Not only does Yugi's inner self get sucked into the pyramid, but so do Troy and Tristan on the balcony. Just as Taya and Solomon arrive at the Battle Dome, suddenly Yugi, Joey, and Tristan are trapped in some bizarre tomb. Even as the Pharaoh asks Kai what he's done, I honestly don't know what just happened. Yugi rationalizes he's in some High puzzle and yet has to find the soul room of the Pharaoh. Sounds simple enough, but given how Joe and Tristan are inside as well as the sheer number of rooms, it's easier said than done. He also rationalizes that he loses his life points, he loses his actual life force. Are you taunting the audience just making stuff up movie? At this point, it's probably both. As for Mokuba's explanation of Hero Light's effects, it could be more or less drug case shrewd rambling, and it makes just as much sense to me. Through a series of further returns, Kai was able to summon all 3 Bloods of Dragons and combine them into Blood's Ultimate Dragon. Just over 50 minutes left in this turkey, and I can move on to my next few projects. Upon seeing Millennium Puzzle, Clash of Pure Light, Joey asks, what's going on? I wonder the same thing, Joey. As Yugi summons Sorcerer of Darkness, I honestly had no idea who said it would be a good focus movie on the duels or expensive story and characters, but it was a mistake. Come revives Blood's Ultimate Dragon to summon a new monster, the Blue-Eyed Shining Dragon. Free with every admission ticket, folks. Yugi, Joey, and Tristan hightail it back to Anubis' tomb and try to stop him from being revived. Only half hour left, then I can decide what I want to do next. Of course, Anubin, who wants to regain celebrating death and destruction upon the world and little else. Taya then somehow projects herself towards Yugi, Tristan, and Joey reminds her of their friendship symbol. Lazy reference to the pilot is lazy. Honestly, this duel just drags on and on. The Waking of Anubis does a little change that. That's why how there's 20 minutes or so left in the movie. Let's just finish this thing already. As I pointed out before, Anubis is a little more than another Doomsday villain, which is a shame given how the series usually has enemies that are pretty memorable. So less than 20 minutes remaining, Yugi and Anubis finally face off. Yugi then throws a dagger at Pyramid of Light, hoping that fate is with us. It is not, the dagger bounces off the eye, so Yugi's able to somehow revive the Blue-Eyed Shining Dragon and defeat Anubis. Huh. That was anticlimactic. Also, points taken off his smite and a pyramid crumbles Anubis. That's easily my favorite thing about this movie. Yet, even after he's more or less obliterated by the last attack, he turns into a pile of black sludge still out for Yugi's blood. Haven't seen a villain this persistent since the Black Knight. If this finale couldn't drag any further, Yugi uses a blue-eyed shining dragon to destroy Anubis' final form. This movie has more names to Return of the King. With Mokuba addressing Seto's wounds or ruins of Battle Dome, with closing Yugi and reflecting on friendship and all that jazz. Just as well, time to wrap this up. This movie definitely didn't do that well, opening at number 3 behind Alien vs. Predator and The Princess Diaries 2 Royal Engagement, making just $19 million at box office runs by popularity of the series at the time. It would be 7 years before another theatrical film was released stateside, and 5 years after that, Dark Side Dimensions only took the original anime and manga as canon, disregarding this movie completely. It holds a 5% Rotten Tomatoes rating, a 15 score Metacritic, and a measly 5 out of 10 IMDb rating. As such, Yu-Gi-Oh! The movie is definitely not something I would recommend. Reputation as a bad movie precedes it in many ways, as well as being a lackluster adaptation, which is actually a good show on its own. Story and animation are pure direct-to-video dreck, so I'm even more baffled that I got the actual release in the US in hindsight. However, given how many times I cracked up while working on this review, it does make a fairly decent comedy under the right circumstances, much like a Bruce movie can attest. Korea in this movie do Yu-Gi-Oh! Spoof if you want her to change that much, so potential parody of this one's ripe for the picking. The final rating is 0 stars out of 4. As what I want to do next, I have a couple options on the table. That'll be all for now. Bang. Yeah.